Today's project is we're going to carve out a key ring. I believe my plan is here, if all goes well, is to make a hobbit door and add a little bit of a chain with a key holder on the end of it. And we're talking, let's see, I'm not even sure how big we have here. Let's see if I could tell. Just over 2 inches around. So not too bad. All right, so let's give it a shot. I'm gonna go ahead and draw something on here and at least get a plan. All right, so I have this this piece of sycamore. It's just a round. Just took it and cut it pretty thin. That's maybe a half an inch thick, and I'm gonna recess the actual door itself, keeping the doorknob raised up, and then I'm going to make stone around here. I've just drawn some basic lines around it just to give us a, an idea of where to put it. Obviously, I may not follow all those. You'll see the crack going through there. I did fill that with glue a couple days ago, let that dry. It does go all the way through. I did both sides, so hopefully we're not going to have an issue with that. It doesn't go all the way to the end, so I may be lucky there. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on this one, and we'll see what we can do. do you think? Got some rocks. I have the door with the planks in the middle. You'll see what I do here. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick, just my little flap sander thing on here, just to kind of smooth things out and see how it looks. And then I'll go ahead and I'll put some grain in the wood. And then I think we're ready to add some paint to it. It's not going to be a lot of paint. It's going to be very little. It's a light, more of going to be a wash. I want the wood, and I want the wood here to show through. I do want these to look like stonework. So let's see how that works out. Give it a shot and see what we can do. Everything's nice and smooth. There's no jagged edges. Cleaned up this around the back here. Not going to do anything back here, so that'll be blank. I will put my mark back here. The crack, I've made sure I've incorporated it into the door. Originally I didn't have it that way, and I caught that at the last minute. So now that this is a little bit smoother, I do want to take a bit to go around and kind of clean up. There's a little bit of weirdness going on right in here, and I don't like that, so I'm going to clean that up. Then I'm going to get a very pointy tip and go ahead and put in my wood grain. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and put some paint, stain, something along those lines on here. More than likely just some paint, but it's going to be a wash so that we can really bring out all these details on here. I did the best I could in getting some pretty cool grain in there. Hopefully you can see that. I even used this knot as a knot, obviously. So let's go to painting. So the first thing I'd like to do is I need to get the door, and I want it to be this kind of a nice foresty green, or just a cool green. So I'm going to take and put that on there like so, and then I'm going to go ahead and throw just a hint of black. That's way too much black, I'm sure. So let's just pull a little bit in, and then I'm going to add some water to it to give it the color I want, and we're going to go ahead and put it on here. Now I'm going to add quite a bit of water, and I'm just adding water here. Add some more paint so I don't get it too thinned out all the way around. But I want the wood to show through on this. So I'm going to continue adding water and paint until I get this, just this wash. It is going to, unfortunately, it's going to leave some spots where that paint hit. What I probably should have done is throwing the water onto the paint first. Oh, I'm sorry, throwing the water onto the wood first to get the wood wet so it's smoothed around a little bit better. But I think that's going to do the trick. We can see that we've got a nice green color to the wood right there. I'm pretty happy with that look. Hope you can see that. It is wet, so it's darker than it will be once it's dried out. So now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and do a round here. Now I've got these other colors. This one is just called Country Gray. Don't know what that is, just it's gray. Too much paint. I always do that. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of a color called Warm Bluff. And these are just these acrylic paints that you can get at any craft store, online, whatever. I just buy the colors as I feel that I need them. And then I always get the larger of the black and the white because I really do go through those quite a bit. So I'm going to take my gray and my bluff, mix it, and throw just a hair of black in there. But I don't want to mix it up too much. I want it to still have a very variegated color look, so it's not a solid color. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go right around on this inside here. So do what I can and not hit the green. That's not always easy to do, like so. You're gonna do it. It's gonna happen. So no big deal. Just wipe it up the best you can. You can always go back over it with the green, which I may or may not do. We'll see. But the first thing I want to do is just kind of go around on the inside and hit all of that. And I may want that just to be a little bit darker in spots so that it feels like it's more in shadow. I do want the colors to change as it goes around. You don't want it all to be the same. You want to give it a variegated color so that it feels natural. And once this is all done, I'm going to take my Danish oil, just my natural Danish oil, and put over this entire piece. And that's going to go ahead and make everything somewhat uniform to give it a unifying look. So now that that inside's all done, I'm going to come up here And again, I'm going to do a mix of some color here, and I want it to be just, I don't want a solid looking color. I do want it to be all over the place so that it looks like rock. And you want some highlights and some dark areas, play of light over top of it. If you don't want to get paint on your hands, go ahead and put on a pair of rubber gloves. I'm just, I'm holding on to where I've already painted, so I'm going to have gray fingertips here in a second. And that's all right. It washes off. It's water soluble here. All right, so I have that. And then I want to just around this outer back edge so that it feels somewhat uniform. I don't want it to look messy, because you will see this part as a keychain. So I'm just going to make just a nice solid ring of color around the back so that it does look finished. You do not have to do this part if you don't want to. It's not going to be a perfect thing. I'm not concerned about the variation in color back here because it's not as important. All right. So there's that. There's that, like so. Now, if you want to get kind of a little bit fancier with this, you can take this super thin, it's really just a brush that's lost a heck of a lot of bristles. So I'm going to take and throw a little bit of white on the end of it and then wipe some off. And then give me some highlights on here. I wiped off too much and I think that brush is going to be too tiny. Let's try something a little different. Let's try a little bigger of a brush. And then I want to get a bunch of it wiped off and then just do a very light brushing on here. That way we get a little bit of some highlights. You can even take your finger, wipe them so they look less harsh, less sharp on the edges. And just go all the way around. And again, wiping them a little bit. And then, same thing on here. Wipe a little bit there. And there we have it. It's painted. We've got the door. We've got the stonework. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and use some of this, some of my Danish oil, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on here to give this whole thing just a unifying look. So it all kind of goes together. And any wood that's showing will get a tone to it. It'll give it a nice warm look. I'll make sure I go around the edges and get everything covered, including the back, so that it's nice looking. I want the whole piece just to have that nice look. Okay, so that's where we're going to be right here. Take that off of there. So there it is. That is where we stand with this. Looking pretty good. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, then I'm going to buff it out with a paper towel just to clean it up. It is going to get a coat of some polyurethane or something like that. It's going to go over top of this whole thing. But I want to go ahead and get the doorknob in right now and maybe add a little bit of gold to that. So we'll see. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get this doorknob, which just happens to be a tiny little nail. I'm going to put that dead center on here. Get that right in there. Make sure I don't go all the way through. That would not be good, especially if you're putting this in your pocket. I don't like that it's black, so what I'm going to do is I have some of this this wax. I really use it for, it's paste wax. It's called antique gold. I use this mostly for my turning, and that's not going to work, so I'm going to just have to use my finger and rub it right on there. And it's going to let the black stay black, but it should allow some of that silver, I'm sorry, some of the gold to come through on it. And it does. So that's really all I was looking for right there. Perfect. Now I just need to put the polyurethane on it. We're going to go ahead and use the clear satin polyacrylic. It's a really nice product. It does not doesn't stink, for one, and I have a small space, so to be able to use this stuff, I do have good ventilation in here, believe me, but still, this stuff being in the garage like I am, any of the stuff that is smelly goes right up into the house, and that's not a good thing for that to happen. I'm not sure you guys can see it. There's a crack right here. That wasn't there when we started. This is a piece of sycamore, and I've had this in the garage for several years, at least 3 years. So I'm not sure what happened there, what caused that. Maybe the stress of me putting my bits on it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't believe it's going to go too much further. So we'll get the one side done with the polyacrylic. Let that completely dry. This stuff is dry probably in about 15 or 20 minutes to the touch. But for full use, I would let it dry at least 24 hours, before you put it in your pocket or whatever. But let's let that dry, and we'll come right back. Okay, so there's still a couple of places on here that have, it's a little bit wet still, but I'm impatient, as most of you are aware. So I'm going to go ahead and get this hole drilled right in the top. I just have this hand drill so I don't overdo anything. And I'm just going to go ahead and start this hole in here. This thing is wonderful. If you don't have one, don't ask me where I got this. I'm so sorry. Heck, it may have even come from my dad. After he passed away, I got a bunch of his tools, and I think that might be his. So then next, I will take a pair of these jewelry pliers, and I'm going to go ahead and insert the eyelet. Very carefully. And you do want to do the hole, because if you don't, you stand a very, very good chance of splitting this. And I've done that enough times to know, and even putting the hole in there, if you don't go deep enough, that eyelet will go deeper than what you drilled and still split your wood, which is not a very good feeling, I promise you, especially after doing all the work that you've done. So then next, we're going to go ahead and put the link in here and hold it into place. Then we're going to drop chain on there. Like so. And then we just need to close this. These pliers do a great job of snapping that shut, like so. And we have a nice little key ring now. Pretty awesome. I will get my logo burned in the back and put a couple of keys on here so you can see how it looks. Super happy. Of course, it's not going to turn and face the way I want it to face. It just isn't going to do it. Stop spinning. Okay. So there we go. I think we're pretty cool here. We've got a nice simple keychain. Real easy to do. I used a sycamore cookie, as they call them. Just like a half-inch slice off of a piece of wood. You can do this with any type of wood. I suggest something a little softer, like sycamore. I wouldn't go as soft as pine, or you're not going to hold all your details, as I always say. So there it is. I love it. I hope you guys like it too. And look for the pictures at the end of the video here to see it with the keys on it and in action. Thank you again. I hope you get a chance to like and subscribe, or at least give me a thumbs up, even if you don't subscribe. It lets me know that you like the content, and I'll keep making more. See you next week.